Peace, beloved.
Peace, brother. Peace.
How are you today?
Oh man, I'm blessed. It's been a busy morning. Blessed and busy. I'm
Yes,
blessed and busy.
and it's good to be busy with stuff that you like doing, I would imagine.
Hey man, it don't even feel like work, bro. It don't feel like work, man. I'm blessed to get to do this work.
No doubt. A brother once said to me years ago when I was in the penitentiary, he said, find a job doing the stuff that you love to do. And that way, each day, it ain't even work. It's like play.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. I concur.
Yeah, man. So thanks for your patience, man. Thanks for working out these kinks with me and waiting to get on here. I really appreciate your time and your attention this morning.
Yeah, right on, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to especially when it's another brother that's done did time, because we come from the same culture. It's a culture with formerly incarcerated. You did?
Absolutely, you heard. And I tell cats all the time, I say, we're part of a unique fraternity, and so it's important that we support each other, just like the alphas or the Qs or the whoever they are, we have to
Yep.
make we have to support each other the same way because we have
Yep.
great ability, potential, and talents, but we have to support each other in seeing that through.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like how you frame that. I'm gonna start using that, man. We have a unique fraternity ourselves.
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
like that.
Yeah, man. Oftentimes, we tend to hide our strengths and hide our involvement with the criminal legal system, but we can use those things that um, have been used against us and take it and make it a proactive and prominent feature in our success. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
brother,
That's a fact.
brother Bob Marley sang one of the, I think it's a psalm out of the Bible, but he said that the stone that the builder refused shall be the head cornerstone.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, so that's what we can become.
Living proof.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in, man. And if you would, perhaps begin by sharing with the listeners here on the Prison to Promise podcast, perhaps your name, who you are, where you from, and maybe how much time you spent in the penitentiary.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And so, you know, thanks again for having me on here, my brother. Anytime I have an opportunity to tell my testimony, I'm able to, give glory, to God. You know what I'm saying? And I know this ain't this ain't church, but I have to always mention God is good, because if it had not been for the Lord on my side, I would have lost my mind out there in them streets, bro. I was born in Western North Carolina, which is a rural. I come from a rural country family.
Mhm.
We eat fat back chitlins, pork in the greens. You
Yes, sir.
did cornbread, buttermilk. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm from the sticks, my bro. And
Country.
my yeah. My daddy's roots stem from West Virginia, and then my mama's from down like in Cleveland County area, Shelby, North Carolina, Lundale, these small towns, where they used to throw down. They throw down bootleggers. My grandma was a bootlegger. On my daddy's side of the family, all my uncles done did prison time. My daddy did prison time. My mom was the baby out of the family, so she was the party auntie. So everybody used to love being over my mama house to party. You dig? So I was exposed to some things at a young age. When my mom and my daddy split up, though, that's when me and my mom moved to the projects, and I was introduced to a whole nother way of life, my bro.
Mm.
Um, being an only child, one thing I struggled with too is insecurities and wanting to fit in and be accepted. Because if it wasn't my way or the highway, I already felt some type of way anyway. And so then it would be like, okay, well, how do I get in the sandbox? And so I was always trying to prove myself. And that ain't a good thing when you move to the hood. You know what I'm saying? This
No.
poverty stricken, high drug activity, gang activity, and got in the streets at a young age. Made a lot of bad choices. I had charges as a juvenile. That's why I serve on the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council right now, because
But
like I remember what it was like for me, and being exposed to certain things, and just the lack of that positive male mentorship at some critical times in my life. Now, I ain't gonna throw shade at my daddy the whole time, because my daddy did struggle with smoking crack, but glory be to God, he went to the VA, turned his life around, moved to Asheville, North Carolina. And that's how I made my way to Asheville. When my daddy went to the VA hospital, he started a new life in Asheville. So my mama sent me up here with him. And you can take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the boy. So I found the projects. I found the projects in Asheville. It didn't take long. Had a kid in high school and just stayed on that vicious cycle, man. Started experimenting with drugs, hard drugs, selling dope, using dope, gang banging, became this dangerous person that I really wasn't. You dig? Like, because I'm really a lover, bro. I love people. Like, even in my activism work, and I hope certain people will listen to this podcast that I may have had to have called in, because I'm trying to stop saying called out. But like, hopefully people hear this. Hopefully they hear this clearly, man. Like, even being an activist, man, it takes a lot out of me because I'm really a lover, Craig. I really want people to love me. I really want to love people. Ain't nobody got time for all of that beef. You know what I'm saying? But when I was using them drugs and I was in the streets, that was like I had to use the drugs to shut the conviction up, because I came from a praying family, so I have convictions about the way I was living. You feel me? And the way I was living, and I had them convictions, and so I had to turn on that young Jeezy, that thug motivation, right? That Gucci. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand how influential that music is. But I'm gonna tell you, like, call me simple-minded, call me whatever, but it was times when I didn't want to get to it, and I smoke an L, and I turn on that Jeezy, I turn on that Gucci, and I get to it.
Well, you see what I had right now.
Yeah. Oh God. And they talk about the usage now. Back then it was selling dope. Now they talking about doing the opioids, the perks and Xans and lean. Like, and then these young boys getting on it, and then next thing you know, they having physical withdrawals. The next thing you know, they on their heroin. You dig? But so what happened was, the more drugs I did to shut the conviction up, I started to get dangerous, and I ended up committing a crime. I tried to quit using drugs before in the past because the crew of people I hung with, it was against the code to use the hard drugs. You feel me? You sell the dope, you don't do the dope. But I had broke that rule, and there I go already wearing these masks, so I never fit in, bro. Like, no matter what, it was hard for me to fit in because I wasn't fitting in with the G's because, here I am, I'm using the hard drugs. It's taboo, I'm trying to hide things. And then I wasn't fitting in with normal society. So it was just always that battle. So I stayed high and I committed that crime. But when I landed in prison, that's what saved my life. And a lot of people don't like when I say it, because sometimes the abolitionists, and I'm not throwing shade at the abolitionists, but a lot of the abolitionists that I done met ain't never did no time.
Yeah, man.
You did what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you ain't never lived that life and walked in my shoes, you might not understand why I say you must be out your mind if you're talking about getting rid of prisons. Because for me, when I got to prison, I'm on the yard with these old heads that had been on the yard for 15, 20 years, and they some of the best people in the United States of America now. You hear me? Like, operating with.
If I could jump in, I think that male mentorship that you talked about not having growing up, that was the same for me. And those old heads that you talk about, when I was in the penitentiary, that is where my most consistent source of male mentorship came in. So
come on, man.
Come on,
bro. Come on, bro. And I like how you frame that, bro, because you said the most consistent male mentorship. I'm seeing you every day, homie. I'm eating breakfast with you. I'm working out on the yard with you. I'm praying with you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't get my visit, and I want to rock off on somebody in the dorm, but I'm talking to you, and you giving me conflict resolution on the regular access. So I appreciate you talking about the consistency of it. Yeah, but when I got in there, man, I was reintroduced to God. You know what I'm saying? I rededicated my life to Christ. Now I was wilding out for a little bit on the yard. I ain't even gonna hold you, bro. There was a time when I first got on the yard, I didn't know how to do time.
Yeah. That happened to a lot of cats, man.
I ain't know how to do time, but like you say, that consistent male mentorship. And I remember this one old head. He used to tell me, but when I go in the hole, he be like, "Damn, boy, you in jail? Why you in jail?"
Well, that ain't bass backwards, right?
Yeah. I get out the hole about 20 pounds lighter. Look, my skin tone got lighter.
Yeah.
But that mentor.
You hear me? I was just saying that hole ain't no joke though.
Yeah, it ain't no joke. And it did something to my mental health too, man. I didn't do as much time as some folks, because I know some folks that was doing like 6-9 months, years. This thing called Icon in North Carolina they have. I didn't have that long term like that, but I did 40-something days, and I had some traumatizing events occur on the outside that I had no control over, and I was in a hole when I got the letter letting me know about it, and so that was really hard. But when I got out the hole though, like I said, I rededicated my life to Christ, started going to the 12-step meetings, man. And I'm a 12-step guy. I am in long-term recovery. And my sobriety date is January the 16th, 2009. So glory be to God. I'll have 14 years. Thank you, big bro. I have 14 years, on January the 16th, 2023, I have 14 years, bro. And so
that's
on the yard, when I got back, I got involved. And you might have to jump in there and shut me up, because I get excited, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you got questions,
you answering all my questions. You hitting all my talking points. So just keep rocking, baby.
All right, already, bro. But like when I got back to the yard, I was going to the 12-step meetings. I'm back on the weight pal. I'm hanging with the people that's talking about something like, I had a job. I ended up getting like a dorm janitor job. And so I was able to really rest and work on myself. And I even started going to church in prison, bro. I started going to church. And one of my good friends that helped me along my faith journey, he getting out of prison in January. I'm going to have to get him on the podcast. Please make sure you follow up with me, my bro. Because I
will.
Yeah, I want you to, because this dude, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep talking about this dude.
Yeah, but I was gonna tell you, like, he get out in January. He did about 15, 16 years, but he was in there with me when I was in there, and me and him used to walk the yard. We used to fast on Sundays, and we, golly, that was where I had one of my, I would say he's one of the best friends I ever had in my entire life.
Ooh,
you feel me?
I got to jump in again, because you hitting stuff that's got my skin crawling, man.
Yeah.
And you talk about one of the best friends you've had. I oftentimes talk with people and I share with them some of the most down people, some of the most brilliant people, some of the most loyal people I've ever met have been those brothers behind the wall.
Yep.
But if I could back up just a little bit, because you said something, and I don't even think you even realize it. You said the phrase was "work on myself."
Come
And
on.
you also talked about, your spiritual journey, and sometimes it's in our darkest moments that we begin to see the light, And so I wonder if you could talk just a little bit about some of the steps. You talked about the 12 steps but in your spiritual journey, but what were some of the more, I guess, intimate things that you did to work on yourself, or what were some of the messages that you were telling yourself to help you get yourself on track?
Well, first, I had to value honesty. You know what I'm saying? Honesty and rigorous honesty is what we call it in 12-step recovery. I had to be honest about my drug addiction, because there was a time I was acting like I was the man on the streets. I wasn't the man on the streets, bro. I was a middleman. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't making all of this big money. I was getting, I was getting a lot of dope, but I was messing around and I was selling a little bit. Then I get high and hide out in a motel room looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? But like that rigorous honesty, because I couldn't get the help that I needed until I was really honest about what my problems were. Another piece of my spiritual journey was like my prayer life. Like being intentional about praying in the morning and at night, and also like when I was on like road squad, when the state had the contracts with the prison, we would pick up the trash on the highways. I'd be like talking to God while I'm picking up this trash. I developed a work ethic, bro. When I was in prison, you hear me? Get up in the morning, go to bed at a decent time, get up in the morning, do your job, come back, you tired, hit the yard, work out, might watch a show on TV, maybe not, might play a couple games of chess, maybe not, you know what I'm saying? But having that routine, that was very helpful. My prayer life, I started reading the Proverbs and the Psalms. I read a proverb a day and 5 Psalms. I went through the Proverbs and Psalms like that, and then just practicing spiritual principles, man, like forgiveness and awareness, and just really like just surrounding myself around other people who will hold me accountable. Because accountability is major. I learned that in the game. See, these are transferable skills that these young brothers, I'm trying to teach them continuously. Like, bro, if you was gang banging, bro, you already know about accountability. You already know about honesty. You already know about forgiveness. You already know about service. You know what I'm saying? Like transferable skills to use to feed your spirit instead. And
Yeah, yeah.
so this is the things that I learned while I was on the inside, and that pain, bro, like being able to face my emotions without a mind or mood altering substance, like feeling those feelings. In
Yeah,
recovery, we say the hardest thing about recovery, they say the best thing about recovery is you get your feelings back. The
yeah, man.
hardest thing about recovery is you get your feelings back.
Yeah. And I often talk about how, I had to stand butt naked in front of myself.
Come
And that
on.
was a very difficult transition. And that's what it is, really feeling those feelings, and becoming human
Yeah.
again without those drugs and alcohol, you know. But
Yep.
something else you said earlier too, about really finding yourself, really being saved by your time in the penitentiary. And I think that rings very true for me as well. Without having gone to the penitentiary, I would not have probably been really confronted with myself, by myself, to the point where I could have or should have begun making life altering decisions. And so, I think what needs to happen with penitentiary is that it needs to be reimagined so that it's not as traumatizing to people, and that it can help people get to these points that you and I are talking about, where they can begin confronting themselves and not coming out of the penitentiary more traumatized and in worse condition than when they were there.
I'm trying to tell you, man, and I know a lot of people that got better. That's why, like, when I talk about criminal justice reform, like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure I'm intentional.
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about reforming the reentry process. I'm
Yeah.
talking about having culturally sensitive resources available for people before they get out of prison,
Right.
establishing rapport with them before they get out of prison, assessing their needs before they get out of prison, and then welcome them home. You already got that rapport established, and
And
and,
I'm
and, and that's what I
maybe not
mean.
90
Yeah.
days, not 90 days before they get out. I think that rapport needs to be established probably shortly after they go inside the penitentiary. And for me, I think about how, like, if I go see my doctor and my doctor diagnosed me with whatever the problem is, at that moment, once they diagnose me, they begin discussing a treatment plan with me, with anticipated outcomes down the line. So, I think that what you're talking about has to happen sooner than later.
Yep. And I agree. I agree. And that goes along. And I appreciate you saying that, because that goes back to what I was saying before about reform and reentry. And with
Mhm.
reform and reentry, we have to look at a reallocation of funding for these
Mhm.
programs to have the capacity.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you look at it, shoot, if somebody's coming back to a county, or you can have them contact that person when they first go in and say, listen, boom, this is our organization. These are the types of resources that we have. We'll be reaching out to you on a monthly basis,
Mhm.
just to remind you to stay out of trouble, or to
Mhm.
see, how we can be praying for you, or what types of resources may be needed for your, watch this, for your family. Because that just an adjacent piece, now we can't afford to forget about that either now,
That's
like
right.
the families that's
Yeah,
left
they
behind.
return
So,
to families and can become re-traumatized or drawn right back into the same mess that sent
yep.
them to the country. Yeah, so we have to
And
strengthen the family.
yeah, and then some of the times, like, I seen people stay out of trouble on the strength of their family. So, like, some of the people who really acted out the most was people that people forgot about. And
Mhm.
then now they just their opus number, what they call it in North Carolina, their
Yeah, yeah,
prison ID number or whatever.
yeah.
But when you got your family
Mhm.
communicating with you and
Mhm.
maybe getting a visit, like, let's say you in a prison is X amount of hours away, but
Mhm.
you got this organization, that's able to make sure your family is able to see you a couple times a year. Come on, bro. You feel
Yeah,
me? But it's gonna require, like I say, a reallocation of resources. And
yeah.
I feel like it's time, because when we look at mass incarceration, it's a public health crisis, my bro, that has affected
Absolutely.
generations.
Absolutely.
Generations.
Public
And
health.
so if we're looking, yeah, if we looking at addressing mass incarceration for what it is, we
Mhm.
have to look at the addressing the family part,
Mhm.
having those, as you said, right when they go in, having an organization that has the capacity to follow up on this individual. Because when
Mhm.
you look at especially black men, bro,
Mhm.
in North Carolina, black
Mhm.
men make up damn near half of the whole prison population.
Yeah, and that's the same all over the country, I think, So this is not by mistake. I think this has been an
Facts.
intentional design, you know. There's something you
Yeah,
talked
man.
about too, man. You talked about, the importance of having, like supports, family support, organizational supports. Can you talk a little bit about who and or what was your support, and how did that organization or individual or group of individuals provide you support? And what did that
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, sure. So let me throw one more thing in there about my prison experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it'll be a good segue into that.
Come
So
on.
with my prison experience, I understood the value of community. I
Mm,
understood the value of mentorship, and I also got plugged in with the 12 steps, the 12-step process. And so coming out of prison, I already valued that as it
mm,
related to my social and community context, which
mm-hmm,
in public health language, they call that a social determinant of health, right? And
mm-hmm,
so when I got out of prison, I already knew that I was going to have to get plugged in with a good church. I was going to have to get plugged in with going to those meetings on the outside. And I
mm-hmm,
already knew that though they had those 12-step meetings on the outside. So I got out. My daddy let me stay with him. Cause like I say, man, my daddy, the truth, bro. Like my daddy turned his life around. I stayed with him. It was damn near like living with a probation officer, though. I ain't even gonna lie, man, because he was on me. Bro,
that's
hey, look, bro, Pops was on me, but
that's
he
good.
had my back. One of
Right.
the things I'm trying to advocate for alongside my comrades is this SNAP ban. So, like in North Carolina, you get a certain drug charge, you are indefinitely, you hear me, indefinitely disqualified from getting food stamps. And so
Right.
it was good that I was living with my daddy, who was a
Mm-hmm,
single man veteran with a dog in the house with 4
mm-hmm,
bedrooms.
mm,
Nobody comes home to that, bro. You
right.
feel me? Nobody
Right.
comes home to that, but I was blessed. And that's
Mm-hmm,
why I advocate so hard for others, because I know the privilege I had. You dig what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I came home, I was staying with Pops, who was like a live-in probation officer. I was going to my 12-step meetings, church, New Vision Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm,
Those people loved on me, man. When I went to my 12, I was committed to my 12-step meetings. And
yeah.
yeah, I was fully committed. I even started mentoring a group of young men. Some of these young men I'm still connected to this day, my bro.
That's
Matter of
what's.
fact, one of them, watch this. One of them I got going to treatment this morning. Somebody
Mm.
that, I just felt the Holy Spirit. This one guy, listen, this one guy, one of the guys that was in the same group I'm telling you about that I was mentoring with, Officer Joe Jones and
Mm-hmm,
Randy Weston. Officer Joe Jones, solid black male resource officer was a resource officer at the middle school at the time. And Randy Weston, man of God, sings in church, plays the piano, knew me since I was little. I came alongside them to mentor some young middle schoolers. You hear
yeah.
me? And
Yeah.
one of them was like a rising ninth grader. This
Mm-hmm,
same rising ninth grader that I'm talking about, I got into detox 2 weeks ago, and you can check out my Facebook, bro. Like you
uh,
can see it on, because I didn't say his name on my Facebook post, but I talked about like when I dropped him off and how
mm-hmm,
it felt. But
yeah.
this same brother was in that mentoring group, and this
Mm.
morning he's getting to go to rehab. So he detoxed back then, and this morning he's getting to go to rehab. You feel me?
Nice, nice.
And so
And
that's what my supports
people
look
like
like.
you stick with them.
Yep. And
With
so
them.
that's what my supports look like, and that's what my community started to look like. You know what I'm saying? It began to have these positive professionals and stuff like that. And I didn't have, but I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you, bro. Like when I first got out and I came home, it wasn't that many other people like me who was getting out and staying out of trouble. That was
Of
the unique
course.
part. That was the unique part, because it's a lot more employers that are second chance now because of the labor force shortage, right?
Yeah. And
But
I think
back then it
also
was,
it's
yeah,
a sexy topic now too, you
come
know.
on, that
Yeah,
part,
yeah.
that
But I
part.
think also there's not gonna ever be, I shouldn't say ever, but often there hasn't been people like you or people like me who get out, who really grind, who don't want to go back, who make the right decisions, who have the right supports. Because as you know,
Yep,
most people that get out, or a higher percentage of those that get out, go back than those that don't.
yep. And back then it was rough, man. But I was, like I said, I was plugging in. I had that 12-step community, church community, stuff like that. So I was able to have positive folks I could plug in with. But over
Yeah.
the years, man, my community continued to build. I stayed doing the next right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you say, as reentry became a sexy topic, where I live at now is a very second chance area. Now, gentrification has harmed a lot of natives. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real.
And that's all over the
And
country too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say like Asheville, North Carolina is probably, if it's, I would put it in the top 3
Mm-hmm.
recovery friendly cities in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
So we have tons of 12-step meetings, tons of We have Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. We have a lot of treatment centers here. We have like the the wilderness therapy. It's just a lot of that going on here, bro, in Asheville.
Dope, man. Asheville is dope. I've been up there once, and I really enjoyed it. It was way more beautiful and accepting and eclectic than what I imagined.
It is, especially the city of Asheville. Now, when you get on the outskirts, by God, now you better act right. You better move like you on the yard. You heard?
I'm with you, man. Because them folks get you. They might get
you.
Yeah.
So,
how about this, bro? If a young cat or sister or anybody that is listening to this right now, what type of wisdom or insight would you drop on them to help them recover and or avoid going to the penitentiary?
Wow, man. What would I say to a young person to keep them from going to the penitentiary? And so I'll preface my answer by saying this. I started a nonprofit called Operation Gateway, and it's a prison reentry focused 501c3 looking to work intensively with folks for like 90 days after they get out. So 90 days before they get out and 90 days after they get out, right? That's our model. That's our scope of work. But my full-time job that pays me with benefits is a workforce equity advocate. And I'm doubling down on engaging and collaborating with city schools where a lot of the kids from urban communities are, a lot of single parent households, a lot of people that have been generationally, systemically oppressed. You dig what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
As I'm talking to them, these young brothers and young sisters, I'm letting them know how serious life is. I'm talking to them about my prison experience. I'm talking to them about economics. I'm talking to them about short-term job trainings, about trades, about work, about budgeting. You feel me? I want to give them the game about real life. But watch this, my brother. I'm talking to them about community the same way me and you started this podcast talk about community. I'm telling them you have to watch out who you have in your circle. You dig what I'm saying? I'm telling them you got to make sure that you surround the same way it is on the yard, but the stuff we learned in prison applies everywhere. It applies everywhere, bro. You feel me?
It's survival.
It applies everywhere. And so that's what I'm giving them, man. I'm telling like you gotta have a mentor in the streets, what we call it, big homie. You gotta have a coach in the streets who call it big homie or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I'm talking to them about having this person that you respect that reminds you about your goals and holds you accountable for your goals and can be your eyes and ears when you start slipping. Because we all start slipping sometimes. I can start slipping and get complacent. You feel me? And forget about my vision. And forget about my vision or forget about, what I said, whatever goal it was that I had. So like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking to them about. And I'm giving them the game, especially when we're looking at, the 16 to 24-year-old population, because that's what I'm tapping into. They call them opportunity youth. So those are our youth who are not going to school or working, 16 to 24. Now, granted, somebody has to tap into the population at a younger age as well. But I feel like this is where, I ain't even gonna say, I feel like I know this is where God has me in this season. Because I've done the reentry, I've done the counseling with substance use disorder and addiction. I've spoke at funerals, accidental overdoses. I've done all of that work. You feel me? And with my connections in the workforce development space and the things that I've learned over the years about WIOA and vocational rehabilitation, I'm about to use all of that knowledge to address the opportunity youth now, because the youth are our future. All right, right. And so
they've been saying that for generations, but it's so true.
Yep.
And so these things that you're talking about, that the game that you're giving to the young people, is this something that you wish you would have had when you were that age?
Heck yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna keep it real with you. When we start talking about mechanical aptitude and short-term job trainings and stuff, like I'm pushing and promoting a lot of this stuff to them because I didn't know about it, bro. They would shove and get a 4-year degree down my throat. You know what I'm saying? And we got to be careful with that, because in this day and age right now, there's a lot of people that got 4-year degrees and they owe a whole bunch of money for student loans for degrees that they ain't even using. You heard?
And then not for nothing. I hear you, man. And not for nothing, a lot of cats who have these vocational training certificates and degrees, these blue collar workers, they're making more money than anybody.
Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Come
more,
on, bro. I
more,
see it. Listen, in the work that I do right now, I done help people get into community college and get trainings, get apprenticeships. I had one dude bypass. I done had a couple on bypass my salary. Call me celebrating what they making, you know. And I ain't no hater, but there's a portion of my mind that says, "Damn."
Right, man. That's a big match, right? But we doing what we got to do, which is empower
Exactly.
that common unity. And so, as you see, man, we're coming up near the end of our time together. This has been a very powerful, high energy, high information, high motivational discussion that you and I have had. And my hope is that we can continue to have these types of dialogue. One of the things I want to ask you to think about, and perhaps right here, right now, is to imagine if you could entitle your journey, if you had something to put on a billboard to say, this is what my journey was, and everybody that rode down the highway and saw that billboard, what would it say? What would that title be?
Mm. Mm. Ooh, wait. I like darkness to light.
Say more about that.
Well, you know, at a young age, I identified the gangsters and the thugs as role models, and they lived a very dark lifestyle. That's just what I seen as success because of what they had in their pockets and the respect or the fear, so to say, they had in the streets. So I wanted to be just like them, and that was darkness. You feel me? But when I went to prison, I seen that form of success don't work. Some of the most successful ones and darkest lifestyles ended up with the most time saying to me, bro, I wish I could do it again. I wouldn't have done it that way. You feel me? And so that is what led me to the light, as we both concurred about our experience with what you say, consistent mentorship on the yard, my brother. And then when I got out, I kept that same energy. And that's when that light amplified. Light amplified. So from darkness to light.
Yeah. That's dope, man. I like how you broke that down too. And so in closing, man, if people want to contact you or find out more about the work you're doing, how can they contact you?
Well, I'm lit on LinkedIn. You know, I give it up on LinkedIn for real, because you got your HR professionals, you got your nonprofit leaders, you got all kind of people, on CEOs on LinkedIn. So you can catch me on LinkedIn. Find me as Change Agent Cooper. You'll see me with my Change Agent snapback on with the flag in the background, because I am patriotic. And then if you want to check out our website, operationgateway.org, which is the 501c3 that I started, and we're building capacity. So if you're a funder out there and you want to fund something that's making sense, you want to see how it's looking up close in person, you know, check out our website, and you could hit me up at COOP, and that's COOP, C as in Charlie, COOP at operationgateway.org.
Yo, man, that's great. And with that, man, I'm gonna call it a wrap.
My man, thank you for having me, bro. You got me lit talking about all of this, man. Just thinking about it.
You got me lit, cuz. You got me lit. This has been a great conversation, man. And like I said, look forward to you and I doing this again sometime, maybe without the microphone, but maybe over some coffee or something.
I'm with it, bro. What city you in?
I'm in Raleigh, man. I'm outside of Raleigh.
Oh, snaps. You in North Carolina.
Yeah, man. I'm from New York, but I've been here in North Carolina for like the last 2.5 joints.
Yeah, I'm finna pull up on you, bro, because I got I work for NC State. Oh, we still recording, ain't we? Look, I done went in.